Have you ever wondered about the absolute most complex systems in the human body? Well, today we're peeling back the layers to understand the anatomy of what I like to call the biological city. Welcome to this explainer. We're taking a zoomed-out journey through the human body, viewing it not just as a collection of random parts, but as a bustling, highly coordinated metropolis. We're talking about the biological framework responsible for life itself.
So here is our roadmap for today. We've got 5 main districts to cover: the foundations of life, the engine of variation, tissues and structures, fueling the machine, and finally, the circulatory network. Let's get right into it. To really appreciate the scale of this biological city, we first need to acknowledge the major organ systems that make up its infrastructure. Just like any thriving metropolis, your body has a power plant, the digestive system, and a sprawling transit network in the form of the circulatory system. You've got ventilation through your lungs, waste management, and a nervous system acting as the ultimate command center. But we also have a system dedicated strictly to the city's legacy, the reproductive system. The male system's primary role is the production and delivery of gametes, utilizing structures like the testes to produce sperm and testosterone. Meanwhile, the female system is uniquely designed for both egg production, where oocytes develop in the ovaries, and supporting fetal development. They are intrinsically linked by a single biological purpose, the continuation of our species.
All right, part 1, Foundations of Life. Before we can truly understand the city's massive highways and power plants, we have to look closely at the bricks and mortar.
And it literally all starts right here at the microscopic level with DNA. Think of these as the fundamental blueprints of life. It's the hereditary information meticulously copied and passed down from parent to daughter cells during cell division. This is the ultimate master code dictating exactly how our biological city should be built.
Those blueprints, they're housed inside our cells. Cells are the smallest functional and structural units of all living things. Your body contains billions, literally billions of these cells, organized into over 200 major types. They perform universally vital functions, like cellular respiration, which is basically how they breathe and generate energy. They are the individual, hardworking citizens of our city.
Moving on to part 2, the engine of variation. If cells are the basic units, how does this city actually grow, divide, and maintain its incredible genetic diversity? The answer lies in a highly orchestrated timeline of cell division called meiosis. This is the biological engine of variation, and it's heavily utilized by the reproductive system we talked about earlier to create those gametes. First up is the zygotine phase, where homologous chromosomes pair up. Then in pachytene, things get really dynamic. Chromosomes partially uncoil and begin crossing over. Finally, through fertilization, the standard diploid number of chromosomes is restored, creating a brand new, genetically unique blueprint.
Let's actually look a little closer at that first phase, zygotene, because a really crucial process called synapsis occurs here. This is the lengthwise pairing of those homologous chromosomes, one from the mother, one from the father. When they pair up like this, they create this fascinating linked structure known as a bivalent.
Now, as this pairing builds into the pachytene phase, the forces holding the chromosomes together start to decrease, so they begin to separate. But, and this is key, they don't break apart completely. They stay connected at specific points called chiasmata. This is an absolutely beautiful mechanism because these contact points allow for the physical exchange of genes. It's the raw material for genetic variation.
So what happens if this intricate dance fails? Well, without the precise process of meiosis, the biological consequences would be catastrophic. If chromosomes didn't have during gamete production, they would literally double with every generation. As you can see, that would lead to abnormal growth, radical changes in species characteristics, and would very likely prove fatal. It is a delicate balance keeping our city intact.
Which brings us to part 3, tissues and structures. Let's zoom out from the DNA and see how these billions of cells group together to form the physical structures of our city.
Just like a city needs different materials for heavy-duty roads versus delicate interior walls, the body uses highly specialized tissues. You've got muscle tissue powering every movement. You have bone acting as the rigid steel framework. And then we have the epithelia, the linings. For example, simple columnar epithelia perfectly line the digestive tract in the female reproductive system, while stratified squamous epithelia form a barrier of dead, keratinized cells to protect our skin.
So, we've built the structures, right? We have the blueprints and the materials, but now we face a massive logistical question. How exactly do we fuel this incredibly complex, ever-moving machine? That takes us to part 4, fueling the machine. Enter the digestive system, the body's ultimate, highly efficient power plant.
Okay, let's break down what happens inside this power plant. The system takes large, complex macromolecules from our diet, polymers, and breaks them down into usable monomers. Complex carbs get broken into glucose for immediate ATP energy. Proteins are disassembled into amino acids so our city can manufacture its own custom enzymes. And lipids, like fats, are broken into fatty acid chains to build cell membranes and steroid hormones.
To actually get those freshly processed nutrients out of the digestive tract and into the city's supply chain, the body relies on this brilliant structure, the villus. These finger-like projections line the intestine and act as the primary absorption centers. They maximize surface area, shuttling those broken-down sugars and amino acids directly into the bloodstream.
But, fun fact, our biological power plant definitely has its limitations. Take cellulose, the tough material in plant cell walls. There's a massive amount of energy locked inside cellulose, but we are completely unable to access it. Why? Because our internal factory simply lacks the specific enzymes needed to break those molecular bonds apart.
Now, a key manager of this whole digestive operation is the liver. It's an incredibly active organ. One of its main jobs is producing bile, which is absolutely vital for digesting and absorbing fats. It manufactures the bile, stores it in the gallbladder, and then releases it when you eat a fatty meal to help break down those lipids.
But what happens when the waste management side of this power plant malfunctions? Well, a really common issue is diarrhea. This happens when the colon fails to absorb water back into the blood, often because of a virus or bacteria. That leads to extremely fast, irregular movements and rapid water loss, which can be a serious disruption to the city's hydration.
And finally, part 5, the circulatory network. Once those nutrients are absorbed and oxygen is collected, they have to be delivered to every single cell. Welcome to the city's high-speed transit network.
The heart is the central muscular pump for this entire system, and it cleverly divides its labor into two main circuits. You've got the pulmonary circuit, which drives blood to the lungs to pick up oxygen and right back to the heart. Then, the systemic circuit takes that freshly oxygenated blood and pumps it out to all the body's organs before returning the depleted blood back to central station.
And this whole transit network relies on a relentless rhythmic pulsation. It operates in two distinct phases. Systole is the active phase where the cardiac muscle tightly contracts, violently pushing the blood out. Diastole is the crucial recovery phase where the muscle completely relaxes, allowing the chambers to refill. It's a flawless, continuous rhythm.
So, we've zoomed out from the microscopic genetic code, watched chromosomes trade secrets, explored the tissues that build us, and traveled through the macro systems that fuel us. But this was just a high-level overview. In our next explainer, we're actually going to deep dive into the complex hormonal signals that control so many of these amazing cycles. Until then, as you go about your day, ask yourself, what other hidden biological miracles are silently operating inside you at this very moment? Keep exploring, and I'll catch you next time.